honored, that is an opportunity for us to say that the God in me sees the God in you, that the God in me recognizes the God in you, that what's human in me recognizes what's human in you. And anything that seeks to get in the way is a false belief. Anything that seeks to get in the way of this ultimate truth is a false belief. So honoring all of humanity, as I said earlier, it's an easy thing to say, and yet sometimes our actions indicate something different. We're saying it, but we're not doing it. And perhaps what's even more difficult is honoring our own humanness. Honoring our own humanness, honoring what's inherently true about us might be more difficult, because the truth is that we are all looking for what's genuine and unique and eternal about ourselves. And not only are we looking for what's unique and genuine about ourselves, we're looking for the same thing in others. We're looking for this. We are always looking for this. It's a place of comfort, of ease, of feeling safe. It's a place where we get to open up to possibilities. So always looking to honor what's genuine about me and what's genuine about you. And in order to do this, then we're going to have to embrace change. And to begin anew each day. To begin anew each day. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes writes on page 439, under the reading titled New Cloth and Old Garments. That's from Matthew 9, 16 and 17. Here's what he has to say. In saying that no man puts a piece of new cloth on an old garment or new wine into new bottles, Jesus was teaching a lesson in religious development. We are continuously living a new life. And when the old and the new do not fit nicely together, the old, being no longer able to contain the new, should be discarded. Continually, we must expect new revelations. Continually, we must expect new revelations of old truths. We should never lose sight of the fact that the soul is on the pathway of an endless and ever-expanding experience, and that only by expansion can it evolve. Let me read that again. We should never lose sight of the fact that the soul is on a pathway of an endless and ever-expanding experience, and that only by expansion can it evolve. This does not mean that we should cast away any good the old has to offer, but that we convert it into a greater good, accepting the lessons and experiences of the past and taking the best from everything. We should press boldly forward, looking ever for the truth and ever ascending higher and higher into the heavens of reality. There's no limit to the possibility inherent in all men. Let the timid soul put its complete trust in good and press bravely. Let the timid soul put its complete trust in good and press bravely on. He said it is an endless and ever-expanding experience, and only through expansion can we evolve. Through our own expansion, through our own willingness to embrace change, can we evolve. And in this pursuit, that if your knees get a little weak, that if you get a little timid, that somehow you decide to embrace fear and doubt and worry, he says to press on bravely, to press on, to move forward, to become someone new. And as we do this, as we evolve, if the old don't fit, it's got to go. If the old don't fit, it's got to go. Anything and everything within me that denies my humanness, it's got to go. Anything and everything within me that denies your humanness, it's got to go. It's got to go. And now, so then we can begin to affirm and know that I have all that I need to embrace change. Come on, take the breath and say it with me. I have all that I need to embrace change. One more time. I have all that I need to embrace change. I have all that I need to embrace change. Not an easy task. Not an easy task. So last week we said that many of us have put up walls around us, and some of these walls we put up ourselves, and some of these walls other people have engaged in the act of helping us to put these walls up, and that mostly we put these walls up to protect ourselves. We put these walls up to protect ourselves. We put these walls up to protect our ideas. Yeah, take the breath on that one. To protect what I think is right and what I think is wrong, in case you were wondering about that. And we said that these walls have been in place for a long time. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. These ideas, these walls that we're unwilling to tear down. This morning I was getting dressed, and I was putting lotion on. I had a whole lot of lotion in my hand. I was doing this. And my wife said, "You always gonna put that much lotion on?" And I said to myself, I've been doing this for almost 50 years. And then I started thinking about the message. But perhaps behind these walls, we'll find that part of us that we've covered up. We'll find those ideas that we have buried. We'll find parts of us that we've ignored. We'll see perhaps what we haven't been brave enough to see behind those walls. And even though it's there and we can't see it, nonetheless, it's there. Nonetheless, it's there. So we allow the walls to remain in place because last week we said mostly because we get a benefit from it. It benefits us in some way. If the walls that you have up benefit you in any way, the tendency is to keep the walls up. To keep the walls up. And in this teaching, though, our walls keep us from doing the work that we've come to do. It's getting in the way. It keeps us from pressing on bravely. And last week what we said is, as a result of the walls being up, that what most of us do is that we rearrange instead of change. That we seek to hold up rather than to tear the walls down. To hold them up rather than to tear them down. And that, but some of this rearranging is done in good intent. You have good intentions about it. But the problem with this is that it causes us to lose our ability and our desire to honor our humanness. Our desire to honor what's human about others. And as long as there is a wall, we give ourselves permission to justify a sense of other. A sense in other, we start to believe in separation. And in that place, then the ground is ripe and ready for resentment. Ripe and ready for resentment, and resentment erodes. Resentment tears us down. Anytime we are thinking other. And then oftentimes, this resentment is followed by the loss of self-respect and self-dignity. It's closely followed by the loss of all self-respect and all self-dignity. And Howard Thurman says that without self-respect and personal dignity, a man is not a man. Without self-respect and personal dignity, a woman is not a woman. Without self-respect and personal dignity, a human is not a human. And so we are left then without our ability to reason and to imagine what's possible. It's at the crux of this teaching that we engage and welcome the invitation to reason and to imagine something greater. That's always, always, always the invitation. So we've got to be willing then to look behind the walls. We've got to be willing to embrace change. Embracing change is looking behind the wall. Embracing change is admitting that something's behind the wall and not denying it. It's admitting that something's behind the wall, not denying it. And what I love about this teaching is that it asks us to demonstrate, to be brave enough to demonstrate, first of all, just one time, a desire within us to look behind the wall, to admit that there's something behind the wall. Because once that demonstration is made, then we're more willing to engage in making another demonstration. Because one demonstration leads to the next demonstration. In other words, one prayer answered leads to the next prayer. That's how we embrace change. That's how we tear down the walls and stop seeking to rearrange it. And from here, we bravely move forward, admitting, acknowledging, seeing, and doing something different. Admitting, acknowledging, seeing, and doing something different. To reason and imagine walls coming down. Admitting to myself that I've done something or that I've believed something. And then from there, saying to myself that what I did or what I believed was not for my highest good or for anyone's highest good. And to say it out loud, to acknowledge it, and then to be brave enough to right my wrong. See, the thing about this teaching is that these principles, we can easily get caught up in thinking that these principles are outside of us and apply to the world outside of us. But the truth is that you don't understand the principles until you first apply it to your own life. Until you can begin to see it working in your own life. if you can't admit and acknowledge to yourself that you have walls up and that it's time for the walls to come down, if you're not ready to expose it for what it is, to see it for what it is, and to call it what it is, to say it out loud, because if you don't say it out loud, there's a tendency, a real strong tendency, and a real strong desire to just rearrange. If you don't say it out loud to anybody else, say it out loud to yourself. Say it out loud to the divinity within you so that it can speak back to you in its truth. Perhaps saying to you, it's only a wall. It's only a wall.